Welcome to the Beaver Tracks podcast. My name is Kaylene. I'm one of the hosts. I work in our Office of Admissions at Oregon State, but I was a student as of 2024. I graduated with my degree in psychology, and now I get to talk to students all the time, which is really fun. So really happy to have you on the podcast. We're really interested in hearing about the Polo team and kind of different equestrian activities that students can get involved with. So I'll go ahead and have you introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Great. Yeah. Well, my name is Sophie and I am a senior biohealth sciences major, and I am the vice president of the Equestrian Polo Club here at OSU.
How did you get involved with polo? Was that something you were doing before Oregon State and then something you found a community here, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so I actually found out about polo at the sport club fair. I believe that they host in the MU quad every year, and I walked by the table and I thought, wow, this looks so interesting and just so cool. I had never done polo before coming to college. I have been riding most of my life, and I wanted to stay involved with some kind of horsey activity in college. And I didn't have my own horse. And so Polo Club is really unique in that they actually don't want you to have your own horse, because we will provide the polo ponies for you to practice on. And so it was just kind of the perfect opportunity for me to be able to keep riding and also learn something new. And I also love playing team sports. And so it was kind of the perfect opportunity to, stay involved with horses and also play a team sport.
For sure. What disciplines were you doing like at home? Just because I'm curious. I rode Western for like 10 years before going to college. So
gosh, love. Yeah, I primarily rode English. I did a lot of dressage and a little bit of jumping, just for fun on the side.
What would you say? Because I watched the videos you sent of the polo meets, but what would you compare? Like, if you could compare polo to like a different sport, what would you kind of like compare it to in terms of like play styles and just for people that don't know?
Yeah. So polo is a 3v3 game. We play intercollegiate polo is played indoors in an indoor arena, and the closest thing I can compare it to is a mix of lacrosse and soccer on horseback. Yeah. So you have a ball and you're trying to score goals on opposite ends of the arena, and whoever gets the most goals at the end of the match wins. You can play offense, defense. It is not a very physical, it's not a contact sport, but you can definitely make contact with other players.
For sure. That's really cool. How did you get to the vice president role, or what made you want to pursue a leadership position with this club?
Yeah, so last year was my first year in the club, and I really had no idea what I was doing. I was completely brand new to the sport, but I just fell in love with it instantly. And I had so much fun with the people who were on the team. I knew that I wanted to kind of help further the club's progression. Prior to this year, we haven't competed in, 3 or 4 years. And so I knew that I really wanted to push the team to get back to that level of competition and be able to, travel to other schools and develop our skills. And so that was kind of my main motivation, was to further the team. And I am really glad that we were able to achieve that this year by traveling, to Idaho and California, and then back to California for regionals. So it was really a great kind of surprise.
Yeah, that's really cool. So does that mean, is it considered a club sport or a club organization? Do you know?
Yeah, we are considered a club sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
So official through all that or through like Dixon and all that.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your major and kind of what you're doing with like biohealth sciences, because I think that's a really cool program that we offer students, especially with that pre-physicians track. I feel like a lot of students, or at least ones I talk to, don't really know about that program. So is that kind of, when you applied to Oregon State, was that was that what you had in mind, or is that something that you kind of pieced together along the way?
Yeah. I mean, when I committed to Oregon State, I knew that I wanted to be on the pre-health track. And back then it was pre-med. And I found the biohealth sciences major. And I just thought it was the most perfect combination of courses that would help me, help prepare me for medical school or PA school or whatever I decided to do after graduation, while also bringing in a lot of humanities courses. And that was what really drew me to the major. Is a lot of, traditional microbiome or biology really emphasizes more of the scientific aspects. And, you take a lot more environmentally focused courses. And so I really thought that biohealth was super cool because I was taking, sociology and psychology, and I took, medical anthropology, all of these courses I totally never would have even considered before that. And they all have ended up being some of my favorite classes. Medical anthropology especially was just so interesting to me, and I would not have even been able to take it if I hadn't chosen the biohealth major.
That's really cool. Yeah, very kind of like all-encompassing of everything that comes with being in the medical field, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. How do you enjoy being a part of that pre-physician track, or that right, physician track? Okay. Yeah. How has that helped supplement your degree?
Yeah, so Oregon State, I also chose Oregon State because of the pre-med track that they offered. It's really unique. Not many other schools that I had applied to really had that opportunity. And I thought that it was really cool because it exposed you to a lot more upper division courses that would not only prepare you for being a physician, but also prepare you for medical school in general, learning how to study, and also teaching you how to understand complex topics and, break it down in a way that you understand. And so I thought that that was really unique, and it was a great opportunity to be able to prepare me for furthering my education post undergrad.
For sure, yeah. What was kind of your application process like as a senior, and what did it look like choosing Oregon State for you?
Yeah, I'm a super indecisive person, so it was really hard for me to narrow it down. I think I applied for 11 or 12 schools in high school. Yeah. And I, submitted all of my applications pretty early, and OSU got back really quick with their decision. And I kind of let it sit for a long time that I had been accepted, because I was just so unsure. I was so on the fence. And what really, I guess, finalized my decision was a couple of things. First was I toured the campus with my mom, and she also went here for her undergrad. And so I felt like it was a really special place because my mom also went here.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also did Running Start in high school, which is a program in Washington where you can enroll in community college courses in high school. And so I came in with a lot of credits, and OSU was able to accept all of them. So that was also a huge deciding factor for me. It was really nice that they were so receptive to out-of-state community college credits. And yeah, just the support on campus. And then I think also the biggest thing was just how friendly everyone was on my tour. And even my mom was commenting on how nice people were being, and everyone was, smiling and happy to give us directions when we were lost. And so it was just a very welcoming atmosphere, and it really made me feel like this was the place I was supposed to be.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. Going, that visit of campus is so crucial to so many different decisions that students make for college. And I totally relate. Growing up in California and graduating in the pandemic was not the ideal time to start college, but even everyone here was still so kind and open-hearted, and just really wanted to get to know you. And that's something I also agree is just something really cool that we bring for students. But you mentioned being from Washington. So how for you was that transition going? Obviously, Washington and Oregon aren't super different from each other, but it's still going to school in a different state. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, definitely a lot of logistics to figure out, especially after, getting out of the dorms, finding housing where I had to move my own furniture down. But honestly, I feel like the transition was very smooth. Since everyone is so welcoming, I really never felt as much of a sense of homesickness because I always had that community around me, my friends in the dorms or, in my major. And especially now, I have had the same people in my classes for, the past 2 years. So it's great to just be able to see a familiar face. And I have a lot of family in the Portland area. And it's, a 4-hour drive back home, which might seem like a lot, but it's not too far for me. So it's kind of nice to know that, even if I am a good distance away, I could still go back and visit if I wanted to.
Sure.
But yeah, and so it's crazy because Corvallis is actually, even warmer than where I'm from. And everyone complains about the rain here all the time. But honestly, it's like when it's 63 and sunny, oh my gosh, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt and it is just amazing.
I feel the same way. I know some students, depending on where they're coming from, have such a different idea of good weather and ideal weather. And you're like, once you've lived in Corvallis for at least a year, you will understand the power that a 65-degree day has and the chokehold it has on the students and the faculty and staff and everyone at OSU. It's very powerful. I loved seeing last week everyone outside because the sun is, I'm like, oh, here are all of our students.
Yes.
Just had to get some sunshine to bring us outside.
I love it.
Very cool. What's been your favorite memory at OSU, whether something with the Polo Club or going to games, or what's been something that you'll probably take with you into the future?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've had so many great memories and I've met so many wonderful people and, it's so bittersweet to be graduating, but, I'm excited, also kind of sad to be leaving. But I definitely think my most memorable activities have been with the Polo Club. That has really become a focal point during my senior year. And especially as vice president, I've gotten really involved with the club and, competitions and even the logistics behind the scenes have just been such a great learning experience for me. And, it has made Polo into something that I want to try and continue post-grad, as long as I can. But yeah, I think one of my favorite memories was traveling with the team to Idaho. It was an 8-hour drive. And we just spent that whole time in the car, listening to music and talking, and everyone's trying to do their homework, but it just never works out. And yeah, it was just such a fun experience. And then to be able to compete was amazing.
That's super cool. I guess kind of bouncing around a little bit, but what are kind of the main positions or the main things you're in charge of as vice president? Is it booking, where, travel and things like that? Or what kind of does being vice president of a club sport entail?
Yeah, I think it varies for a lot of club sports. We're definitely a smaller club sport. Our team is usually only around 10 to 15 people. Okay. So as vice president, I help coordinate our weekly practice schedule. I communicate with our coach and ensure that we have transportation arranged for our student club members, and then also have practice space reserved at the barn. And then I also will coordinate travel logistics for competitions as well. Okay. So when we go to Idaho or when we went to California and flew, I coordinated with our sports program manager and got everyone's tickets booked and hotels and rental cars. So it's a lot of very meticulous detail planning.
For sure. That's really cool. Especially I have you noted, every club is different, but I feel like a polo club is kind of almost in its own category, because you are working with you have your human teammates you're dealing with, and then also horse teammates. And that's really cool that you kind of have to juggle all of that. And then we'll kind of do a couple more questions. What is one piece of advice you'd give future OSU students, whether they're coming from, if you want to make it specific to like one's transitioning from Washington to Oregon, or just kind of general, like what are some things you wish you did different? What do you wish you knew before coming to OSU?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, do as much as you can that puts you out of your comfort zone. College is the time to be able to do that and, really push yourself to experiment and try something that you never would have thought you could do before. And, I've joined so many different clubs and, some of them I've stuck with and some of them not. And that's what this time is for, figure out what you like and what you're interested in and what you're passionate about. And even if you try it and you hate it, at least you can say you did it.
Exactly. That's so important for students to understand. Like, I feel like when you're in high school, you're in such a box of like, okay, this, like, you're a high school student, but like in college, like that box opens up for you and there's this whole world of just things to explore and see. And that's, that's definitely one of my favorite pieces of advice to give students, because you never know what you're going to do. Very cool. And then what, like, any other experiences you've had at OSU that have really kind of shaped who you are or have shaped your future in any way that you think future students would want to know about?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm very involved on campus. I am also part of the Honors College, and so I've been working on completing my honors thesis, my honors undergraduate thesis. And I think that that is also a really special and unique opportunity that Oregon State offers for students. The thesis is really open-ended. I have seen people do anything from designing a fashion line to composing music to doing, traditional wet lab research. And I think it is really amazing that people can, experience just building a project from the ground up and then seeing it all the way through to completion. And for me, the thesis process has been incredibly rewarding because I never thought that I was going to be getting into research in college. Yeah. And now at the end of my senior year, I'm finalizing my defense and, getting all my ducks in a row. Sure. And I think looking back, it's, everyone focuses on the finished product, the defense and the publication of your manuscript. But I think that the process itself has been even more rewarding, I think, than the finished product, because working, with the lab that I'm in, working with the PI and the grad students to, come up with a research question and then design an experiment and, optimize the method for your experiment and then actually conducting it and then, getting data and analyzing it is like this, it's the full picture of research. And I think that it's kind of a mystery to a lot of people. And so it was a really unique and special opportunity that I was able to explore through the Honors College.
Sure. I'm really happy you mentioned the Honors College. What is your thesis that you're working on? What is your main question?
Yeah, so I am working with the Dallas lab, which is in the College of Health. They are a nutrition lab, and my thesis is investigating preterm infant nutritional outcomes based on how we pasteurize human donor milk. So it's a very niche, very, very niche topic, but the Dallas lab does do research with human and bovine milk, proteins and peptides and all of that. So yeah,
that's very really cool. What made you come up with that question?
Yeah, so I am really fortunate that the grad student I am working with, Caleb Mark, shout out. Was, gracious enough to be able to take me on kind of under the umbrella of his graduate project. And so my research is kind of just like a little branch under the umbrella of his. And so I was able to investigate, a specific question kind of using the guidance from his project that he is also working on.
Okay, that's super cool. Other than the thesis, are there any other opportunities that you've been able to do through the Honors College, or are there any other additional kind of benefits you think students would want to hear about or learn about?
Yeah, I am definitely also super involved in the Honors College. I work in the SLUG as the lead student manager. And the SLUG stands for Students Learning Underground, because it used to be in the basement of the library, I believe.
Yeah.
And they just recently moved to third floor of the Link, which I think is a much better place.
Oh, for
And
sure.
but the Slug is essentially just a study space for Honors College students. And it, has a computer lab, free printing. They stock the cabinets with snacks, and there's always coffee and tea available for students. And that has really been the place, like my second home on campus, pretty much my entire time at OSU, because, sometimes it's really hard to find a spot at the library or, in the MU. And so it was really nice to just have somewhere to go and be able to quietly do my homework or, eat lunch in between class. And so that has been super nice. And, I also am a part of the Honors College Student Association, HCSA, which puts on events for Honors College students. And so I held many different positions. I was a professional development chair, and now I'm the executive admin chair. And so I've held a lot of different roles within that club. Yeah. And it's been very fun to, plan events. And the biggest one we do every year is Spring Gala, which is coming up in May and is essentially just a formal big dance at the end of the year. But it's been super fun to be a part of, planning all of these really fun and cool events.
That's really cool. Really cool to hear just how involved you are in all of your different programs at OSU. I think that's a really cool thing that students are or won't be aware of until they're actually a student, is like how easy it is to just join clubs and organizations and to really like dive into Honors College, or even if you're like in the College of Science, like in those particular colleges, like there's ways to just get so involved. So I'm really happy you were able to share on a lot of different aspects of that. But that's kind of our time for today. So thank you, Sophie, for chatting with me today. It was lovely getting to know you and hearing about the Polo Club, Honors College, biohealth sciences. So thanks again, and we'll go ahead and sign off.
Great. Thank you so much.